I'm sure we can all agree that standard format kind of sucks right now, which is why I have elected to jump into expanded today. I'm going to be taking a look at Tsareena V, a card that I have not had a chance to look at yet, but excels in the expanded format. Tsareena V is a 200 HP grass-type basic V Pokemon. It has the attack Queen's Orders, which is very reminiscent of Mega Gardevoir back in the day. For a grass energy and a colorless, it has the attack Queen's Orders, does 20 damage, plus 40 damage for every Pokemon that we discard from our bench. Now, that is a potentially very powerful attack. If we have a full bench of 5, we can discard all 5 of them to deal 220 damage, which is very, very strong. In Expanded, we also have access to the always popular Skyfield Stadium, which allows us to expand our bench from 5 all the way up to 8, which is super, super good. It means that we can stretch from 220 all the way up to 340-ish. What's the maths on that? I'm not entirely sure. If we discard all of the Pokemon off of our bench, though, it is a very, very solid hit. And when we're playing against lots of tag teams, which we do in the expanded format, we are going to be able to get some pretty solid knockouts. But we do need to put some Pokemon on our bench. So what are those Pokemon going to be? Well, firstly, we have 3 copies of Memories of Dawn Mew. This Pokemon is a really good way to get attackers going. You can use this to attack with any of your basic Pokemon in play as long as you have the appropriate energy. So Mew can attack with our Tsareena's attack as long as we have a grass and a colorless on it, which is very, very strong. We also have in the deck 4 copies of Distortion Door Giratina. These were a little bit hard for me to find, but we managed to get them. Distortion Door is a fantastic ability. It means when Giratina is in the discard pile, we can place this Pokemon onto our bench and deal 1 damage counter to 2 of our opponent's benched Pokemon. That way, when we discard them, we can reuse this ability over and over again, whilst also putting some pressure on our opponent's bench, which is super, super good. And since we are putting that damage counter onto the bench every time we utilize Giratina, we can also make use of Jolteon VMAX. This card has been very popular in Standard, but it also works well here, because it allows us to deal damage to those benched Pokemon that Giratina has already pinged. And, you know, Tsareena isn't always going to be hitting 300 plus damage, so Max Thunder Rumble can be very useful. We'll have to play Lightning Energy in the deck, but that's okay. We can play a Lightning and a Colorless Energy to get this attack off. And if we're playing Lightning Energy, we can also use Tapu Koko Prism to accelerate those Lightning Energies from Pokemon, from the discard to Pokemon on the bench, thanks to Dance of the Ancients, a very, very good card in Expanded. Now, there are still more cards to talk about, so give us a second. Expanded is such a difficult format to explain. If you haven't played it before, then I would definitely recommend jumping in. It is a lot of fun. We also have this Absol, which is a very old card now. It has the ability Cursed Eyes, which means when you play it from your hand to the bench, you can move 3 damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another Pokemon, and that is really good for us in getting knockouts thanks to either Jolteon or Tsareena. We can move 30 damage thanks to the Giratina pings onto a Pokemon and take a KO. Or if we're lucky, we can even utilize Absol's ability to get the last 30 damage onto a Pokemon that we maybe hadn't quite knocked out before. So very, very useful. We also have Sudowoodo, which is a really cool Pokemon with the ability Roadblock. It prevents your opponent from playing more than 4 benched Pokemon. So effectively, we can put our Sudowoodo down and prevent our opponent from playing a Tsareena deck of their own, which is very, very strong. We also have Dragonite-EX, a Pokemon card that I have not played in a very long time. Its ability, Pull Up, means that when we put this Dragonite into play, we can put 2 basic Pokemon from our discard pile into our hand. That is super, super good. It gives us access to cards like Tsareena or Jolteon or Mew over and over again. Plus, we can also use some of our tech support Pokemon that we've seen in Standard before. Things like Eldegoss V with Happy Match and Crobat V with Dark Asset. both very strong support abilities. We also have support Pokemon from the expanded format, things like Tapu Lele-GX, which you might remember from the Celebration set, the Wonder Tag ability. We play this down and can search our deck for a supporter card of our choice. This is very similar if you've been paying attention to the next set of Pokemon cards that comes out, to the new Lumineon V, or Lumineon? Lumion? I don't know what it's called. I can't remember how to pronounce that name, but it's a similar, if not exactly the same, ability that is very, very powerful, so we will be utilizing that card, and we'll also use Dedenne-GX to discard our hand and draw 6. Wow, so many powerful support Pokemon, and we can utilize them over and over again because of all of our Pokemon search. Finally, we have Propagation Exeggcute. This is a staple card in expanded decks because you can put this card from your discard pile into your hand and then discard it with another card. So if you want to play Quick Ball, you can use Quick Ball, discard the Exeggcute, put it in the discard pile, put it back in your hand and play another Quick Ball and discard it again. Super, super strong. Okay, that's just the Pokemon. Let's talk about some of the trainer cards. First of all, Battle Compressor. This is a very important staple card in Expanded, and in this deck it really shines. What we can do is we can search our deck for 3 cards, and we put those 3 cards into the discard pile. Doesn't seem like an effect that necessarily would want to happen, but when you consider the fact that cards like Giratina operate in the discard, it's essentially saying search out 3 Giratina and put them on the bench, which is very, very good. We also have traditional search cards like Quick Ball and Ultra Ball, which is returning to standard very soon. We've got cards like VS Seeker, which allow us to use supporter cards that are in the discard pile again, which is very, very powerful. We also have Rescue Stretcher, which will allow us to put Pokemon from our discard pile back into our hand or into our deck, which is super, super good. Helps us recur those Pokemon, which we definitely need to do. And we also have a copy of Computer Search, which is a very good card in Expanded. Discard 2 cards and search your deck for any card that you like. Beautiful card. It's an A-spec. You can only play 1, but it is definitely worth it. In general, there's still a ton of cards we can talk about, like N and Professor Juniper, which is Professor's Research. Just a nicer art, or at least a more nostalgic art. There's more cards we can talk about, but I'm very wary that if I continue talking about every card in this deck, it is going to take a while. If you want to check it out in PTCGO yourself, you can take a look at the list down in the description, copy that into PTCGO and get playing with this. It is great fun, and to be honest, it's a really good introduction to Expanded. Let's jump on the ladder and see if we can win some games. Alrighty, it is time to get cracking, and we have got ourselves a very nice starting hand. I'm going to Battle Compressor a couple of Giratina and the Exeggcute away, and then we're going to start using that Propagation ability, bring that Exeggcute from the discard pile to our hand, and then we can discard it with our Quick Ball and grab whatever we like. Let's go for Tsareena. It is our main attacker, and we do have energy in our hand, so we'll play that down. I'll attach the Lightning energy here, I think, and then I think I might even use Exeggcute again to go for Ultra Ball here. We'll use Propagation again. You can use it as many times as you like, because the second it enters your hand, it is private knowledge rather than public, so very, very useful. Now we'll throw that back into the deck and grab out our Jolteon V. The reason for doing that is because we have the VMAX in hand. I would rather not discard it if I don't have to, and I think I'm just going to pass here. I'd rather not discard it for nothing, and we've definitely got the room to attack with it, so I would like to use it if I can. Also, attaching the Lightning to Tsareena here, I've chosen to do that because I don't know if you've noticed, but we are playing up against a Genesect V. That means we're probably going against Mew, so there is every chance that in Expanded, Mew could potentially get a knockout on our Tsareena using a copy of Meloetta. So we do need to be careful. Obviously, Mew is part of the reason that I'm not having a great time in Standard, at the moment. Not because Mew is too strong, but it's kind of centralized the meta in a really uncomfortable way for me personally. I don't really like the way that the game is being played at the moment, which is why the videos haven't been as common. But there's definitely room for Mew. I like Mew. I think it's good, but I'm just not necessarily sure that I'm enjoying the metagame that's developed around it. I think it would be nice to have something that can kind of come in and be neutral, and just neutral good. Maybe there is, and I just don't know what's going on, because I've not paid attention, but that's okay. Anyway, I was saying, we could potentially see a knockout here. They've attached a Fusion Strike energy to a Mew. The good thing for us is that they will need to use Boss and Elisa this turn, so it is unlikely that they do get a knockout. Looks like Guzma is going to be the supporter of choice, so no knockout, which I am absolutely happy about. And they've got their Mew in the active, which, you know, it's not going to take a knockout this turn. They can't attach any more energy, but they definitely can accelerate some energy using their energy mix attack if they want, or they could just retreat into a Genesect, which I think is probably a smarter move, to be honest, but you never know with these kind of things. Anything can really happen, so it looks like they've gone for that. So Genesect is in the active now. Okay, so we've drawn into a Grass Energy, which kind of sucks. We've got one, we don't want two. Let's go for our Professor Juniper now. Draw a bunch of cards. This is not ideal. I mean, it's okay. Got a couple of Giratina and an Exeggcute here, so we're going to use this Distortion Door ability. This will place damage counters on 2 of our opponent's Pokemon, so we're going to go with the Mew and the Meloetta, and of course the Mew doesn't get affected because of the energy, so don't do that again, Mitch. Don't click that button again. We won't click that Mew, we'll click the Mew next to it. Deal some damage to that. That's a bit of a whoopsie, but it doesn't really matter. It's not the end of the world. Then I think we can play down... How many do we need to discard to knock out this Genesect here? I think it's quite a few. I think what we're going to do is we're going to grab this Exeggcute out of the discard pile here, not to use it to discard, but instead to put it on our bench. So this is another really good thing about this particular deck, is that we can kind of get away with these slower starts because we have so many Pokemon that can activate out of our discard pile. So Queen's Orders, we're going to get rid of the Exeggcute, we're going to get rid of the 2 Giratina, and then I think, if I do the maths here, I think we need to get rid of 5. It should be perfect, and it is 190 damage onto the Genesect, and we take ourselves 2 prize cards. Very, very solid. Very happy with that. Now, our opponent has a solid turn here as well. All they need is a Mew and an attachment, and they will take 2 prizes. But if they do that, then I can take a prize on the Meloetta next turn, theoretically, with our Jolteon. So I'm going to be looking for Tapu Koko Prism Star to try and accelerate those lightning energies out of the discard pile onto our attackers. We'll see how we go. I'm not necessarily sure that it's going to work out, but we are definitely in a good spot to win this game, as long as everything kind of goes our way. Of course, our opponent could just completely whiff the whole thing. They could miss the Mew, which would mean that we aren't in any stress at all, but I wouldn't imagine that will happen. So we will see what happens. They're going for the Elisa's Sparkle. They're going to accelerate at least 1. They've got 1 Fusion Strike energy, and then they're going to draw a couple more cards with Genesect. They'll probably go for the Mew VMAX here, and then we're going to be in this really awkward spot here. We've got some stuff, we just don't have a huge amount to work with. They're going for Psychic Leap. Okay, well that means that they've conceded on me. Thanks. Well, we were going to win anyway, right? Alright, game 2. We'll see if we can get a real one here, and I mean, we've got double Battle Compressor, so this is, this is a perfect start here. We can get all of our Giratinas and our Exeggcute into the discard pile. I'm also going to go through and put a Lightning Energy into the discard here as well. There's only 1, which is kind of awkward, but I think it's still worth discarding. We can then Propagation. We can grab that egg out of the discard pile here. We can Quick Ball it away and grab ourselves, obviously, what do we call it? A Tsareena. We need one of those. Then I'm thinking we might actually just Ultra Ball away our supporters here. We don't really need either of them at the moment. Guzma and N are actually better served in the discard pile at the moment. And I'm going to grab the Crobat out here, and we'll play the Skyfield down. They're playing Calyrex, so I'm kind of like, I don't really know whether they're going to be replacing that stadium too quickly. They do play from memory a copy of Silent Lab, but that's okay. And we'll attach a Grass Energy, I think, to Tsareena. They're less likely to be able to knock out Tsareena next turn. They could potentially KO a Mew, so I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna leave that as it is. And then we've got 4 cards in our hand that are actually pretty good. We've got 4 Giratina in the discard pile, plus a Scoop Up Net. and the Dedenne. So we've got heaps to do next turn, depending, of course, on what our opponent does. Now, they've got Gengar and Mimikyu Tag Team GX, which is a very, very powerful attacker. 240 HP is on the low side, but we can definitely take that out. But they're going to potentially slow us right down by using it. They could potentially use Horror House GX to stop us from playing cards out of our hand, which I'm not a big fan of at all. And that Alolan Muck is brutal. Obviously, Alolan Grimer is brutal. The Muck stops us from using all of our abilities on our basic Pokemon. And I don't know if you've noticed, but we have 3 basic Pokemon in play that have abilities. All of the Pokemon in our discard pile have abilities. Pretty much all of our Pokemon in our deck have abilities, so we don't necessarily want to be blocked from using them. I would really like if we could... Oh, beautiful. Okay, so this is not terrible. We are definitely in a good space here. Let's use Propagation. We're going to grab ourselves... We'll, what do we need here? We need a Lightning... We need an Energy and a way into the active. Let's grab this Absol here. I don't really need Absol. What did I grab that for? We could potentially get a knockout on the Grimer, but I don't think that that's realistic. Let's go Ultra Ball, get rid of these 2 Pokemon, and grab ourselves a copy of, let's go with Tapu Lele. We will need a supporter. So we'll play that down here. I'm thinking that it's probably going to be Colress or Juniper. Colress will draw us more cards. I think Colress is going to be better here. Colress shuffles our hand into our deck and draws cards equal to the amount of Pokemon in play, which is very, very powerful. Or on bench, I think. But still, very strong. Let's use all 4 of our Giratinas here. We're going to place those damage counters on Muck Grimer and also our opponent's Gengar. This is one of the worst parts of this deck, is clicking these buttons over and over and over. Obviously, in real life, it would be really easy. I could just go 4 times Giratina, 40 on these 2 Pokemon. But on PTCGO, I need to click through everything to try and get everything down here. So just bear with me a moment whilst these Giratinas come down. I think we will go with the 4th one. I think it's worth doing. We can play all of those down, and then if they miss the Muck next turn, which there is a chance of that, we could potentially knock it out because of the Absol or with a couple of Giratinas. That would be a-okay by me. Now, we've got a Scoop Up net, so that's good. We can get rid of one of these Tinas here to play down Tapu Koko, which we will need to get ourselves some energy. I need that lightning energy back, so we'll place that on our Tsareena. Then we can Quick Ball away the Giratina here if we want to, or we can just save that for next turn if we want. I think grabbing it is pretty good. What we could do... Let's grab Tsareena here, and then we will play down the Jolteon, so we can use the VMAX. I like that. We don't necessarily take the knockout on the Grimer, which is not that big of a deal, but I would rather be able to utilize the Jolteon next turn. I think that's going to be better for us in the long run anyway. It's going to be better for us to be able to do that. Let's thin out with Battle Compressor. We don't need some of these cards. We may as well get rid of them. Field Blower doesn't seem particularly useful in this game, so we'll get rid of that. And I'm thinking that maybe we'll just get rid of Raihan. That will be useful because we will need to use Raihan with our VS Seekers. I think that's fine. We'll do that and then go with Queen's Orders here. Let's discard. What are we going to discard? A couple of Giratinas, 3 of those. We'll get rid of the Lele and we'll get rid of the Crobat as well. I think that Crobat is enough. Yeah, that seems fine. 220 damage. Discard 5 Pokemon and take 2 prizes. Very, very nice position for us to be in here. But very nice position for us to be in. If our opponent elects to use Horror House, which, let's be honest, they probably will, we're in a bit of a rough spot. If they choose to use Marnie or N, which they may do, they're going for Tapu Lele here, so that might be a possibility, then again, that's going to be pretty grim. We definitely don't want Marnie, GX attack, and then also Muck. Okay, well, I don't know why I said that. That's disappointing. At this stage, there is not a huge amount that we can do. Although, to be fair, the hand that we have is actually perfect. In order to get ourselves a Jolteon attacking, we actually have all the cards that we need, because we put the Raihan in the discard pile. So if they go for the Horror House here, that's fine. I don't mind that. Sorry, excuse me a moment. Is there a way for us to get... Well, I mean, we can knock the Muck out. So what they're going to do is they're going to Horror House GX us. Then we have to pass. Or we can Queen's Order for like 60 damage. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we've been Horror Housed. We're going to draw up to 7. Kind of annoying, not the end of the world. We can't play any of the cards in our hand, so all that we have to do is attack. So I'm just going to attack. We're going to do 20 plus 40 is 60 onto this Eldegoss, and that is going to be solid. We'll leave the Mew there just in case things go wrong, and we've got the Jolteon, obviously, to attack with. I should have discarded the Mew as well. Okay, so if I had have discarded that Mew, oh, it would have been on 140 damage. It would have been perfect. I would have. Oh man. Okay. So we could have won the game. Let me explain. If I had have discarded that Mew as well as the Eldegoss, our opponent's Gengar and Mimikyu would be on 140 HP. Would have 140 damage. Sorry. That would mean that we would have been able to take the knockout with our Jolteon on the active and the Muck at the same time. That is brutal. Okay. Well, I mean, it's not the end of the world. We can still get the knockout on the Muck, which frankly is the most awkward Pokemon at the moment. And we'll have all of the damage that we need on that Gengar Mimikyu. I can't believe that. We could have won. We literally could have just won this game. Oh well, doesn't matter. We're going to win anyway. We're going to win anyway. All we need now is we just need another turn. It's not going to be too hard. We will go with our VS Seeker and grab that Raihan that we prepared earlier. We'll use the Raihan here. I think we've got all the cards we need. I think so. I mean, we've definitely got the Lightning Energy in the discard pile. I haven't seen the Jolteon VMAX. I hope that it's there. Let's just go for it. We're going to Raihan. We're going to attach that Lightning Energy to our Jolteon V, and hopefully we can grab, yes, there it is, the Jolteon VMAX. We'll throw that onto the bench as well, and then we can attach the Grass Energy that's in our hand. I'm thinking we'll also play down the other Mew here. Maybe we can hold the Skyfield. We don't really need to stress about doing too much more here if we don't want to. I think the Mew is the correct play. We'll just play that down just in case something sketchy happens. And then we will max Thunder Rumble. That'll put 100 damage onto the Gengar and take the knockout on the Muck on the bench. Now all we need to do is find 40 damage to knock out this Gengar Mimikyu, which as long as our Jolteon is alive is not going to be too hard to do. Although, to be fair, our opponent knows that we have a lot of items in our hand, a lot of trainers, and they could potentially just knock us out. That would be bad. They could also potentially just they could just use Acerola. That's another way to do it. I was about to say they could like just take a knockout on the Jolteon and hope that we don't have boss and an attack, which we don't. But yeah, Acerola, that's pretty rough. And now these Calyrexes are going to be a problem. Is there a way for us to win from here? Let's have a think. Let me have a think. Okay, so they're going to max Geist. They don't knock out. That's all they've got is 190. So we've at least got a turn here to deal some damage, which I really like. We'll play down Skyfield, and now we are going to get cracking with our Giratinas. We have so many of them. We're going to use pretty much all of them here. Let's Distortion Door and place 10 damage on each of these Pokemon multiple times. Get all that damage on there. We can do it twice, do it 3 times. Distortion Door. Let me just think here. We could actually get a knockout on Tapu Lele this turn, if we want one. Let's go Distortion Door one more time. And then we can use... Actually, do we need to use Exeggcute here? I think we just use Rescue Stretcher, chuck a couple of Pokemon back into the deck. Seems reasonable. Put Dragonite, Tapu Lele, and also Eldegoss. Well, actually, let's go with Tsareena, I think. That's probably fine. We've got to get the attackers right in order to be able to attack. We'll play the Tsareena down. And then we can also use our VS Seeker now to grab a copy of N. I think that's fine. Get rid of their hand. Let's get rid of their hand. That seems reasonable. Put the Floatstone on the Tsareena, and then we can N. Shuffle our hand into our deck. We'll draw 3. Our opponent will draw 4. We have a Quick Ball, a Grass Energy, and a Tsareena. So this is pretty solid. We can attach to Tsareena, which we need to do in order to win this game. We'll grab the Exeggcute here. Actually, what we could do, this will get the knockout on the Lele. Let's go for the Exeggcute. We will Quick Ball away the Exeggcute, and then we'll grab ourselves. I think we can just grab ourselves Absol Dedenne, right? We can definitely get the knockout on that Lele. Let's get the knockout on the Lele. Let's go for Absol. We'll grab that. And then we will play it down. And move the damage from the Calyrex onto the Lele. Makes it 70 damage. And then Max Thunder Rumble. I'm going to take 2 prizes on the bench. Thank you very much. Oh, hang on. Oh, I don't have any way to draw cards. Okay. Well, in my excitement to take the knockout on the Tapu Lele, I forgot that I need to actually be able to draw cards next turn. If I had a way, if I had an out to boss, would I win this game if I had an out to boss? We'll just discard these quickly. Oh, I think they just retreat. If I had a... Okay, so if I had just been intelligent, if I had just been smart, here's what would have happened. I would have saved myself some problems. I would have grabbed myself at the Dedenne and drawn some cards. All I would have needed is a boss or a Guzma and an energy onto Tsareena. I would have won. Because I would have been able to discard 5 Pokemon on the bench and deal 220 damage. At this stage, we're still going to win the game. If our opponent does not switch, we still win. But our opponent is probably smart enough to switch. Yikes. Not ideal. You can tell that I've not played this deck a huge amount, but it's okay. I think, to be honest, I think I should have won twice. I could have won twice. I should have won is a strong word. I shouldn't have won, because I didn't. So I can't claim that. But there was potential in hindsight. In hindsight, maybe I could have won this game. That's alright. We're just gonna draw into it here. Let's just top deck the boss. Let's top deck the Guzma. We're just gonna win the game off of the top deck. It's gonna be fine. All we need is like VS Seeker. VS Seeker is a great card. We got 2 of them. It's like a 1 in 7 chance. VS Seeker off the top deck. Thank you very much. So Dedenne. Got Silent Lab in play. Needed the Dedenne last turn, actually. We'll play that one down. We will go for the Sad Face emote. We will hit Queen's Orders, discard all of the Pokemon off of our bench to deal 220 damage, say well played, and then I'm going to concede. We're just going to get out of here, because this game is over. We could have won that. Well, it was a classic coulda, woulda, shoulda there, but hey, listen, I think the fact that we took it up to Shadow Rider Calyrex, which is one of the better decks in Expanded, and could have won, I think that says something about the quality of this deck. If you've enjoyed this one, please leave a like, do all that good stuff. Appreciate it. If you want to become a member, there's like a whole bunch of people over here that you can put your name next to them if you want. It costs like $3 a month. Join in if you'd like. Don't feel pressure. I will pressure you, however, to click on this video. Click on it. I don't even know what it is, but it's probably pretty good. Click it. You should do it. Come on. Come on.